Hello everyone, welcome to my first official voiceover of a speed paint. As this is my first time, I'm not actually sure what I'm doing here or what I'm going to talk about, but let's give it a go. Just to clarify, I won't be talking through this whole thing, don't worry. I just wanted to try something new basically, because I'm still not sure what I'm doing with these speed paints and this is fairly new for me. If you notice any weird noises, it's because my mic isn't exactly the state of the art, and I'm sorry, you'll have to bear with it. I've literally been fiddling around with my mic for ages just to make sure that it sounds alright, because whenever I use it on the karaoke app on my iPhone, it tends to blare out a bit when I hit the high notes. Anyway, I'm done rambling now, so let's just get into the speed paint. I'm going to start by talking about what I'm drawing today. If you don't know what The Witch's House is, I really suggest you go and watch it, play it. It's on Steam right now for I think 10 quid, 10 pounds. I'm not sure how it translates to dollars and euros, all the currencies, but you should really go play it or watch it because it is such a good horror game. I initially got introduced into horror games because of Ib, and I do really love Ib. It's a very nice and lengthy one if you want good story, but The Witch's House is short and sweet. Well, not quite on the sweet part, but it is, you get the point. It's short, the story hits you hard, and I'm not going to reveal any spoilers. The extra mode literally came out on Halloween, and I was ecstatic. And last year I fell into the hellhole of horror RPGs with the starting of The Witch's House, and it's been kind of staying ever since. You basically start off playing as this girl called Viola, and you go into this house, you have half of a letter, you don't know what's going on, and you have to solve all these puzzles, but you kind of get punished regardless of whether you solve the puzzles right or wrong, because this isn't really giving away much of the first bit of the game, or any of the game, but literally in the first bit, you will die. You'll just die. It'd be a miracle if you somehow stepped into the house and just survived the first second of it. But of course, if you watch enough, then you know exactly what to do. But regardless of playing it over and over again, even if you know what's going to happen, you're still scared. You're still scared for what's going to happen, and you're also scared because you don't know whether you've done something right or wrong. It's one of those games where it's not outright scary like some horror, like actual horror. It's more like it's a jump scare, but they're really good jump scares. And also, you die in very humorous ways. I know this is a really weird way to say it, but it's kind of humorous. Being crushed by a teddy bear is something you never expect to happen. Just a fair bit of warning for those who do not like eye horror, because I do know there are people that don't enjoy it. It's not really in most of the game or any of the game. It's more towards the end. That's when there's a bit of a factor of eye horror, but apart from that, for me personally, it doesn't really creep me out, but for others, it may have some triggering moments. One thing I would really suggest to many people if you are a new player is that you should definitely go back and explore the library. I'm just saying, because there's new books that will come out. It's not a spoiler, it's more like information. There's also, speaking of books, there's also a novel that's been brought out called The Diary of Ellen, and it kind of dives into the story a bit more, and I think that's all I'm going to say about it, because I'd give away too much. You have to go and explore it yourself, obviously. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say about The Witch's House, except for the fact that I completely love it and I've been obsessed with it since last year. I meant to watch people play because I don't own a Steam account. I don't really have, well, I have a Mac. It runs games a lot weirder than other people's. So, yeah, so I've been watching people play it obsessively, like lots of different people, you know, the bigs of YouTube, like Markiplier. There's another person that I watch that I quite enjoy called Aesthetic Gamer. You should definitely go to his channel. He makes horror games sound like a walk in the park. The one game that I'm the most scared of, personally, because of the visuals, is Fatal Frame. Just because for me, when I watch a horror film, the images stay with me and they continue to haunt me. Like, I watched The Grudge when I was 15 and I still have nightmares of it because my imagination is what gets me. It's not even, you know, anything scary anymore. It's just my imagination. So, yeah, as such a gamer, he's very good, and he even did a no save run. It's kind of scary. I don't know how he did it, but his ones are more in his live stream, so you have to actually dig into his channel to even find it. But yeah, basically, it was my first horror RPG that I've ever watched, and it was followed by Mad Father, and I watched Cry play in both situations. He's quite amusing to watch because he sometimes doesn't deal very well with puzzles, but it's fun. I really like his voice. And then I did watch Corpse Party for a bit. Kind of forgot about it for a while, and then went back to actually watching it. I quite like it, but it's if I were to be honest, it's not really up there in my top favorites just because it is a super lengthy game. And also for me, the story unfortunately didn't grip me as well. It's more of the horror aspect of it, you know, the idea of if you die in that space, you die feeling that pain forever and you still feel it even after death, and that's a horrible feeling. But apart from that, it just didn't have the major shine that it had on me or Mad Father. And then I don't know why I decided to go watch The Witch's House. I think it might happen to do with the fact that Doki Doki had been blowing up everywhere, and I watched it, but I didn't really find it scary at all. I'm kind of desensitized to things like that, like people stabbing themselves, you know, that kind of stuff. Because, I mean, I watched JoJo. There's a lot more gross and horror aspect to it. For me, it didn't really mess with me as much as it may have done with other people. I was kind of, I don't know, I was left not knowing what to think. It's kind of like a really popular one that I know of. I like crazy characters like Monica, so it's a good game, but it's not my favorite. But when it comes to like RPG horror games, I prefer them more because there's always like chase scenes, jump scares. In fact, technically, I know Ao Oni is counted as one of them because that's one of the other ones that I first watched. I watched two Japanese guys playing it, and their reactions were hilarious. They jumped at everything blessed them, including the toilet seat. But in terms of story, Ao Oni doesn't really have much in the first ones. I haven't actually watched any newer ones, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, so I decided to finally watch The Witch's House, and that's when I started binge watching all horror games, including revisiting Ib and Mad Father. And then there's Misao, which I really like, and forever I'm really sad that not many people know about Misao. And And then after that, I just kind of started Googling for any new things and asking my friends, like, do you have any to suggest? Like, there was one that was Alice Mare. Um, there's also Wada no Hara of the Great Blue Sea. That one's quite a good one. There's a lot of eye horror in that, just warning you. And there are scenes in it that are just uncomfortable. But I like, I like the whole sea aesthetic of it. It's a beautiful game. Oh, and speaking of beautiful horror games, there's a fairly new one out called Pocket Mirror. The visuals are so beautiful. There's barely anybody that's actually played it. I think Manly Badass Hero has played it. There's also there's this guy called Washu. I think that's how you say his name. He's also played it, and I really loved how beautiful it is. The plot was a little bit hard for me to kind of get first, and also it is a very lengthy game as well, but the music and the sound effects and the like what they even did with pixel art in general is just so beautiful. I mean, of course, don't get me wrong, pixel art is amazing because I used to be part of the generation of spriting. That's how old I am. But to actually spend that much time to sit down and sprite everything, it's really amazing. I really admire people that can do that. But yeah, that's basically just like a few of the ones I personally love a lot, and if you haven't checked them out, you should definitely check out Pocket Mirror and also Wada no Hara, because those two are just really beautifully pixeled. And on top of that, Misao is worth it. There's a lot of stupid deaths in that one too. It's really great. It's created by the same creator as Mad Father, and I think that's basically it. And now I've noticed that I've basically talked all the way through the sketch and into the actual coloring bit of things. But yeah, I think I'm going to just stop talking from this point and just let you kind of sit back and also watch me just do this speed paint along with some really beautiful music from the witch's house. The music is basically royalty free, so I'm not too fussed and worried about people getting on my case about copyright. But anyway, you might hear it in repeated in a lot of different horror RPGs because of that, but it's some very nice music, so I hope you enjoy, and thank you for listening to me rambling on. If you like hearing me ramble, then just let me know, and I'll do more of these voiceover speed paints, but otherwise, if you don't like it, just tell me and I'll just stick to music like my previous candy store speed paint. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of this video.